Hi, hello. I'm Hans, I'm an intersex artist, activist, and strawberry macaroon. Today I'm tackling the very Googleable question, how do I know if I'm intersex? The short answer is, I don't know. But if you're asking Google, especially in the hopes of getting a positive, I think it might be less likely. So here's the thing. You don't need a medical diagnosis to be intersex. That's super classist, super inaccessible, and it's contrary to the exact idea that we've been trying to smash. The idea that being intersex is about medical control and trauma. I mean, in my mind, arguing that you need a specific medical diagnosis to know that you're intersex is kind of like arguing that you had to have gone through conversion therapy in order to know that you're gay. And no one should have to go through horrible things. We deserve nice things. It doesn't help that there's always been the problem of creeps and fetishists trying to get into our spaces by pretending that they're intersex. But more often, the people that are asking if they're intersex are queer or trans people who are hoping that they are in order to justify being queer and or trans. And this breaks my heart for so many reasons. First of all, you are valid. Being queer and trans is 1,000,000,000% valid on its own. Sometimes intersex people get frustrated at this pattern because it feels like a co-opting of our experiences. And it kind of is, and at the same time, unfortunately, because being intersex is observable on a body, a lot of people in power tend to treat it like it's much more real or valid than being queer or trans on its own. But that visibility is also exactly what can make being intersex so dangerous. And if I'm being honest, it does make me a little bit uncomfortable to hear queer people say that they're pursuing chromosome testing in the hopes of finding out that they're intersex. And anyway, not always, but chromosome differences are usually more of a side indicator than the main thing that you would discover first. So usually doctors aren't going to want to put people through chromosome testing unless they have another reason that would prompt that to happen. And it can be hurtful to see queer people grasping at straws for reasons why they hope that they're intersex. In my experience, that's included such airtight reasons as, well, I've always known because women's pants just fit me better. This has always been sort of a weird and sore subject in a lot of the intersex communities that I'm in, and for me it's also a really weird headspace too. You have decades of intersex medical abuse, and a community that has largely bonded over those shared experiences. So historically, we're a little bit shaky about meeting new people. So on the one hand, we have a history of fetishists and queer co-opting, and on the other hand, we have don't be a gatekeeping jerk. There's definitely a sub-community of what I call intersex medicalizers. This is kind of parallel to something that happens in trans spaces, where there's a word, true scum, that describes people who think that you need dysphoria or need to pursue medical transition in order to really be trans. Similarly, intersex medicalizers, who are often older folk who've gone through a lot, believe that you need a formal medical diagnosis in order to claim the term intersex. Faker, show me the medical records. You do carry them, don't you? Oh, you're intersex? Then name your 5 greatest medical traumas. I'm going to need you to drop your pants. And for some reason they're British, or whatever accent that was trying to be. And these people are obviously operating out of a place of trauma. Well, my intersex status is pure. What is this, the Westminster? But the point is, whether or not you've been put through medical experiences, if you're intersex, you'll probably know in some way, even if you don't have the same language for it yet. This is because in my mind, intersex experiences follow pretty similar patterns. We start with sex development or puberty, going significantly not as expected. Add in some shame, stigma, secrecy, add a pinch of guilt, add a pinch of disillusionment. It's an old recipe, but really people can find out that they're intersex at a lot of ages. In fact, here is a timeline of a bunch of the ways that I've heard of. So, of course, the classic is to find out right when you're born, or rather your parents find out, if you have immediate genital differences. Sometimes even ultrasounds will pick up genital differences, or if the chromosomes aren't what you would have expected for the genitals that the ultrasound sees. So if you find out a little bit older, say as a toddler, a lot of times that is ball stuff. So either you're expecting testes to drop and they don't, or you never would have expected testes and they start to drop without the structures in place that causes hernias. Surprise! So finding out as a little kid or a preteen is usually because of early puberty. Early puberty, especially with unexpected changes. So maybe you're developing more typically masculine features because of higher testosterone, or maybe you're developing more feminine features like breast tissue because of a lack of testosterone or a different balance. So as a younger or middle teen, then there's lots of other puberty surprises you could have. Sometimes you don't go through puberty at all because your body doesn't have the organs that would make those hormones. Or you might be a teenager in sophomore biology, minding your own business during a cheek swabbing lab, when you get back your cheek swab and find out that it has unexpected chromosomes on it. That one can be a recipe for an identity crisis. Or maybe you're an older teen or you're in college and you're sitting in a lecture and a professor brings up the word intersex for the first time. That might spark in your mind connecting the dots between medical experiences that you had as a child that maybe somebody wasn't telling you the full truth about. And then you can play a fun intersex game of trying to access your medical records. Some people find out as adults when they're trying to conceive, so they might find out that there's problems with sperm, or they might find out that internally they have testes, ovotestes, or neither, which would make sense why no babies. I've even known people who have found out in their 40s or 50s, but that's almost always a case of parents and/or doctors deliberately hiding or lying about information. And unfortunately, that was really common in the older generations. Finding out that you're intersex is finding out that your body is just a little bit different. Intersex is something that I do think you need to have a certain set of experiences to claim. And at the same time, it wasn't always such a medicalized process. Most of what we're trying to do is just undo forces like patriarchy, white supremacy, and ableism that have made naturally different experiences into medical problems. Anyway, we've obviously got work to do. If you're intersex, how did you find out? I don't ever want to pressure people to feel like they have to share, but if you do feel like it, that's what the comments section is for. And if you learned something or just enjoy bad accents, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button so that I can keep making more intersex video essays like this one. That's it for this time, and I hope to see you soon. So hi again. I'm popping in because after the recording, I want to say that I just hope that this video didn't give too pessimistic of an impression of finding intersex community. Sure, some people have been burned before, but really what you'll find once you connect with folks is that intersex people for the most part are absolutely awesome and super excited to get to know new people in the community. So if you're in good faith an intersex person who's just starting out on that journey, please reach out. The organization that I work for, Interact, has an email where you can get connected to different support groups. The groups are usually secret, so it does take connection to somebody to get added. But I really do want to meet more intersex people, and I'll talk more about that soon.